So, welcome guys, and today I'm gonna have my first impression on the KZ ZEX Pro. Got them 3 days ago, but I didn't make a video because I thought I'd listen to it more so that I can have better understanding on how they are tuned. So I'm also gonna compare it with the regular ZEX, the non-pro, and two of my favorites here, the Mirror and the BQEYZ KC2. So I've already changed the cables. I don't really think the stock cables are good. It just makes the sound quality lacking in clarity. Changing the cables really benefits a lot. For the tips, they are quite tip sensitive. You can hear changes in SQ when you change tips, so I don't know which tips these are. I have a lot of them here, and somehow this one worked for me. The cables are CRN T2, which makes the overall sound signature a bit warmer. So if I used narrow bore tips, the bass is boosted, so that's why I ended up using wide bore plus a cable that makes the ZEX Pro a bit warmer. So how do they sound? They sound pretty balanced with emphasis on sub bass. Like, you choke on sub bass, if that makes sense. Like, you feel the thump of the sub bass on your throat, which is pretty surprising. It has some peaks around 8K, and as I've mentioned before, I'm actually treble sensitive, and even if the Mirror is bright, okay, it's not fatiguing for my ears. However, with the ZEX Pro, during my initial listen 3 days ago, I did feel some peaks in the 8K. I'm very sensitive to that area, so that's why I didn't make a video on that, because I wanted to make my impressions fair, because my cons might be a pro to others. So just to be fair, I wanted to listen to it more without me being fatigued. The stock cable and the stock tips just, doesn't work for me. But this time, with this setup, I can have longer listens. So again, with the bass, it has a lot of sub bass. Transitioning to the mids, which are quite forward, but I wouldn't say resolving. They're forgiving. I wouldn't say they have a lot of resolution in the mids. It's fairly forward, but they're not resolving in the mids. Going to the treble area, they have again, it's balanced, so it's not recessed, it's not overly emphasized. You get details there, but it lacks the harmonics. It lacks the extension. You see that dip. If you've seen the graph, you see that very big dip there, and that creates harmonics, I guess. String instruments doesn't sound complete, although it's sparkly, but it doesn't feel complete to my ears. So comparing it to the original ZEX, KZ ZEX, these are bass boosted sets. Okay, I don't say I don't like them. A lot of people like the ZEX because of its bass, mid bass specifically. For me, for my taste, the bass is just too much. I was trying to change the tips and the cables for this, but I always find the bass too much for my liking, because it kind of affects the mids in some way. It's enjoyable in some genres like EDM and hip-hop, bass prominent music, but for my library, it doesn't suit well. However, with the ZEX Pro, it plays my library quite well, especially with this setup. And comparing it to my two favorites right here, and the KC2 is also balanced, but it's not targeting the Harman curve. It has an unusual tuning, but they're balanced, focusing on lush mids. It has a good mid bass thump, but the mids on the KC2 are more resolving than the ZEX Pro, if that makes sense. I mean, if I compare the mids here are a bit forward than the KC2, but even if the KC2 has recessed mids, I find them more resolute. For the treble, maybe they're the same. They're quite on par. The ATL retrieval, quite similar. As for the heart mirror here, the tuning on here is bright or neutral leaning to upper harmonics. This has very good treble extension. And of course, it has lesser bass quantity, but the quality of the bass is there, relevant to the overall spectrum. This is just very good in the upper harmonics, the upper mid-range. So if you like the heart mirror, you're gonna miss that beautiful string instruments in the ZEX. I'm not saying the ZEX Pro is bad, but you'd lack the upper harmonics that the heart mirror has, and even the KC2 has some upper harmonics too, just the heart mirror does it better. And so what genre is it good for? It's an all-rounder actually. I would say the ZEX Pro, because of the tuning itself is fairly balanced. I would put this like in my top 3 favorites for now actually. They're that good, but of course it has limitations to the drivers. I know that they're using cheap BAs. I'm sure they can improve more on this. But the Harman target is not for everyone, because sometimes it may sound dry and boring, and I agree, because for me it sounded like it lacked a bit of bite, you know, it lacked a bit of aliveness to it. The tuning is too safe, wherein it doesn't excel in anything except for the sub bass, but they're pretty safe. And yeah, I think I can recommend this set to any of you who wants a safer tuning, who doesn't want any bloated bass. For people who want bass, I'd suggest ZEX might be better for you if you like bass, because this is a subjective hobby. So again, my cons might be a pro to others, and the pro to others might be a con for me. That's why I really tried hard to find the perfect cable pairing and tip pairing so that I can listen to it further and analyze its signature. But these are just my quick initial impressions and comparison to the ZEX Pro, and I'll be writing my full review on Facebook. I'll be writing down the link, so be sure to follow that or read that, my full impression on this. But for now, yeah, do I recommend the ZEX Pro? Yes, for people who like a safer tuning, balanced tuning, this is an easy recommendation. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.